Loving is not suffering. Loving also means respecting yourself. As I always say, sometimes what a man doesn't express in words, he screams through his actions. And if you found your way here, it's likely because someone has left you confused, silent in speech, yet surrounding you with gestures that leave you wondering, are these signs or just coincidences? I understand you. For women who feel with their hearts and think with their souls, male behavior can seem like a mystery. Not knowing whether he's already in love or just emotionally using you can be deeply unsettling. But here's a truth few people will tell you. When the man truly falls in love, he changes. His behavior shifts. His gaze softens. The little things, those quiet, everyday moments begin to speak volumes. And even if he doesn't say a word, his body, his habits, his way of listening, everything starts revealing the depth of what he feels. Today, I want to share 3 unmistakable behaviors he'll show when he's emotionally invested, even if he hasn't yet found the courage to admit it. And as you read, listen not only to what he does, but also to how you feel when he does it. That might just be the silent answer your heart has been waiting for. Stay with me until the end, because something special is waiting for you. Something that might forever change the way you see love. If this touches you in any way, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear beyond the words, because maybe, just maybe, what you're feeling isn't just in your head. He looks at you differently. He's more present, more attentive, more protective, yet he still says nothing. No declarations, no clear confessions. And you find yourself asking, why not? You're not overreacting. You're not imagining things. Something has changed and you can feel it. It's just that his silence is confusing. But maybe what you don't yet realize is this. His silence speaks more about him than it does about you. From a young age, many men are taught to hide what they feel. Crying is weakness. Talking about emotions is for women. Expressing love becomes a risk, a quiet fear of appearing vulnerable, of losing control, of giving themselves completely and not being loved in return. So yes, he might be in love. But what he's learned about love has taught him that showing is safer than saying. And so he begins to show it in the only way he knows how, through quiet protection, through subtle care, through a genuine interest in the little details of your life, through the way he listens, the way he notices things no one else does. But he doesn't say the words because saying them to him means crossing a line, lowering his guard, risking everything. It means saying, I'm in love, and not knowing if you'll say it back. Psychology explains this as a reflection of both emotional and cultural conditioning. Many boys grow up being taught to be rational, strong, practical. Love gets buried, hidden, suppressed even from themselves. So he likes you, he admires you, he's growing attached to you. But instead of confessing it, he shows it, quietly, carefully, completely. And if you don't know how to read those signs, you might mistake his silence for indifference when in truth, he's feeling everything. That's why it's so important to understand the language behind his silence. Because when you begin to see what he's lived through, what he holds back, and how he chooses to express himself, you stop waiting for declarations and begin recognizing the love that's already being offered, even if it comes without words. It might happen in the smallest moment. You say something in passing your favorite coffee, a place you dream of visiting, a detail from your daily routine, and days later, he brings it up as if he had stored it in a secret place in his mind. And that's when you realize he's paying attention, a different kind of attention, too deliberate to be casual, too tender to be just friendly. Men rarely say, I'm in love out loud, but they say it when they remember how you take your coffee. When he notices you're quieter than usual and asks with genuine concern, are you okay? When he waits up for you to get home, just to make sure you're safe. When he offers to solve a problem that isn't even his, but insists on standing by your side like someone who's already chosen to protect you, even if he hasn't fully realized it yet. Those subtle shifts say more than words ever could. It's in the way he listens when everyone else just talks, in the way he cares about things no one else even notices, in the time he gives you freely, without expectation or obligation. It's in those quiet, unassuming moments where love first begins to slip through, even if the words haven't yet found the courage to say it out loud. Because when a man is falling in love, he doesn't rush in. He slowly begins to weave himself into your daily life, not by invading it, but by fitting in naturally, seamlessly. And with every small act of care, with every unexpected memory he recalls, he's silently saying, "You matter to me." You just have to learn how to hear that kind of silence, because within it, there's often more truth than in 1,000 empty declarations. At first, it may feel like coincidence. You mention working late, and suddenly he's nearby around that same hour. You say you hate eating alone, and he starts showing up more around mealtimes. You offhandedly mention you hate the rain, and without even realizing it, he begins picking you up or dropping you off when the sky begins to darken. He never says, "I'm falling in love," but slowly, his world starts to revolve around yours. These changes are subtle, almost imperceptible, until you begin to notice that he's quietly rearranging his life just to include you. That trip with his friends, he postpones it. That once non-negotiable meeting, he checks if it can be rescheduled. That important match, he watches it on his phone, volume turned down, just so he won't miss your call. And the most curious part, he doesn't even realize he's doing it. He doesn't make a scene. He doesn't ask for praise. He just does it instinctively, like being near you has become his natural state. For many men, this kind of quiet prioritization is the truest expression of love. Because while society has taught them to suppress their emotions, it has also taught them to prove their worth through action. And when he starts adjusting his plans, sacrificing small comforts, reshaping his routine, it's because his heart has already made a choice. Even if his mind hasn't said it out loud yet, he starts consulting you before making decisions. He starts to think, will she like this? Before picking a movie, a restaurant, even a shirt. You become an invisible filter present in everything he does. He begins to include you in his future plans, even if he hides it behind vague dreams. He talks about places he wants to visit someday, but always says it in the plural. When we go, when we're there together, as if deep in his unconscious, that future already includes you. And all of this unfolds without fanfare, without dramatic proclamations, just consistency, quiet presence, subtle truth. Because when a man is truly falling in love, he doesn't just feel it, he acts on it. He changes his route, rearranges his schedule, pauses his priorities, not with noise, but with meaning. Because to him, love means being where the heart calls him to be. And his heart has begun to live in you. Maybe you're living through this right now and haven't even realized it. Maybe you're wondering if you're asking too much, if you're expecting something he doesn't know how to give. But look closer. You might find that he's already giving it to you in his own way, in his own time, and with a depth that speaks louder than any words ever could. Now, tell me something. Has he already started to prioritize you like this, even without saying a word? Have you noticed these quiet shifts in his behavior? If so, comment below. He's already chosen me, even if he hasn't said it. Because sometimes the heart has already said everything. You just have to learn how to listen. There are things the eyes say that the mouth could never find the courage to confess. Have you ever felt it? That sensation when he looks at you and time seems to slow down? When, even in a crowded room, it feels like you're the only person he sees? It's subtle, intense, not just any look. It's a gaze that searches, that reads, that sees straight through you. And often, it's the first sign of a love that hasn't yet found its name. When the man is falling in love, his eyes betray him. Even if he quickly looks away, even if he hides it, it's in the way he watches you when you're not looking. as if he's trying to memorize your face, capture your smile, learn the sound of your laughter. He notices your hands, your way of speaking, even your silences. And when his eyes meet yours just for a moment, there's something there. A whole universe trying to reveal itself without saying a single word. The body begins to speak too. He leans in when you talk, listens with his whole being, as if the world around him has faded away. And most of the time, he doesn't even realize he's doing it, because it's not calculated. It's instinct. The body reacts before the mind. It draws closer. His shoulders turn toward you. He mirrors your gestures. He laughs when you laugh. Touches his hair when you touch yours, as if his body were trying to find a rhythm with yours. And the touch changes. It becomes softer, longer, not invasive, almost like a silent plea. A gentle touch on your arm when he greets you. A brush of fingers as you walk side by side. A hand that lingers just a second longer when handing you something, as if his fingers were trying to say what his lips still can't. Real connection doesn't need grand speeches. You feel it in the air, in silences full of meaning, in gestures that seem small yet carry a whole world of unspoken emotion. And when you feel that look, that touch, that care, you just know. Even if he never says, "I'm in love," you feel that he already is, because there's a truth in that gaze that can't be faked. The body speaks when the heart has already chosen. And in that silent glance, in that almost invisible gesture, lives the purest kind of feeling. The kind that grows quietly, but when it blooms, it changes everything. Then comes a moment, unexpected, almost always, when his armor begins to fall. Not all at once, but piece by piece. It might start with a simple confession, a childhood memory, something that left a mark on him, something he's never shared with anyone else. Or maybe it happens on an ordinary night, during a casual conversation, and suddenly he says something that reveals a truth. Behind that confident, composed man is a heart that still carries scars. And that's when you realize he's letting himself be vulnerable with you. And that doesn't happen with just anyone. A man doesn't hand over his pain to someone he doesn't deeply trust. He might go out with many, talk to several, but he opens his heart only to the one who touches something far beneath the surface, to the one who makes him feel that maybe, just maybe, he's finally found a place to rest. And when he speaks of his fears, of failing, of not being enough, of repeating past mistakes, he's placing you in a space he never imagined someone would occupy, the space of trust. Male vulnerability is almost a social secret, because from a young age, he was taught to swallow his tears, to hide his emotions, to harden himself, to feel pain but never show weakness. But then you came along, and somehow, without pressure, just through your presence, your gaze, your way of listening, he allowed himself to open up. And that surrender is one of the deepest forms of love, because the man who is truly in love is not the one who takes you out to dinner every week. It's the one who lets you see the parts of him he hides from the world, the one who tells you about the absent father, the complicated relationship with his mother, the mistakes he regrets but can't undo. He speaks slowly, sometimes with hesitation, with fear of being judged. But he speaks because his heart already knows with you, he no longer has to protect himself all the time. You become his safe place, his refuge, the pause in the chaos, the one person he wants near when everything else begins to fall apart. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you begin to realize that the most beautiful kind of love doesn't always come wrapped in sweet words or surprise gifts. Sometimes it lives in a single breath. In the moment, he exhales deeply and says, "I've never told this to anyone before." Then lowers his eyes, unsure, vulnerable, hoping you'll stay, hoping you won't see him as weak. And you don't, because in that quiet, unguarded moment, you understand something essential. He chose you, not just with his gestures, but with the most fragile, hidden part of who he truly is. You've probably already noticed it. He doesn't say anything, but his gaze changes. You're speaking to another man, maybe a coworker, an old friend, and suddenly he goes quiet. His eyes follow the conversation. His body shifts just slightly. When he speaks again, his voice is a little firmer, his tone a little more measured. He doesn't make a scene, doesn't demand explanations, doesn't set rules, but you can feel it. There's a subtle discomfort there, a tension he tries to suppress, but it escapes anyway. In his posture, in his silence, in the way he swallows words he doesn't want to say. This is not the kind of jealousy that shouts. It's the kind that reveals. Because when a man is still emotionally distant, he doesn't care who walks into your orbit. But when he starts to feel truly connected to you, when his heart begins to build something with yours, the instinct to protect starts to rise. Not as possession, but as a quiet, almost involuntary desire to preserve what's growing between you. He begins to realize that he wants you near, wants you close. And though he may not admit it, he wants you just for himself. And it's not only jealousy, it's disguised care. It's in the way he watches you across the room. The way he instinctively moves closer when others gather around you. The way his body subtly positions itself between you and whoever he feels is too near. It's in the light touch on your shoulder, the hand that rests a moment longer on your arm, the casual, "Are you okay?" that carries a deeper meaning. I'm here. I'm paying attention. I notice. He tries to play it off. He jokes, changes the subject, checks his phone, but inside, he's processing. And this isn't a feeling he planned to have. It just arrived, sudden, visceral, undeniable. That protective instinct, it's another sign, perhaps the clearest one, that his heart has already begun to surrender. Even if his mind hasn't yet caught up, he begins to think of you not just as someone he wants beside him, but as someone he wants to protect. From the world, from pain, from uncertainty, even from other men. Because to him, no one sees you the way he does. No one understands your nuances, your gestures, your silences like he's starting to. And deep down, those quiet signs of jealousy are nothing more than reflections of a deeper fear. The fear of losing something he hasn't yet dared to admit he wants. The fear that someone else might take the place he already believes silently, secretly, is his. He doesn't say it, but his body does. His gaze confesses it, and his heart is already there, wanting you in silence. Then comes another shift. He begins to want to know more, not just about what you do, but about who you are. And it's not a superficial curiosity. It's something deeper, quieter, almost sacred. He asks about the people in your life. Your parents, the friend you only mentioned once he remembers her name. He asks how the family gathering went over the weekend. And when you speak, he listens, not just with his ears, but with full presence, full attention. This kind of attentiveness can't be faked. When a man begins to want to belong to your world, it's because something inside him has already emotionally committed. He wants to meet your friends, not to control, but to understand. He wants to know what music moves you, what books you read, what places bring you peace. And more than knowing, he wants to experience those things with you. Maybe he's never read that kind of book, never listened to that artist, never walked in that city you love. But he tries. He steps into your world, even when it's outside his comfort zone, because he wants what matters to you to matter to him too. And that is love in the making. Not loud, not hurried, but slow, steady, sacred. A love that listens before it speaks. A love that sees before it touches. A love that chooses quietly, fully, without needing to say a single word. You'll notice it in the way he observes your daily life, in how he offers to join you for the simplest things, a family lunch, a quick trip to the store, an evening walk. The place doesn't matter. What matters is being with you, stepping into your world, finding connection in the ordinary. Because for him, that's the most beautiful way of saying, I want to be part of who you are. When the man begins to seek more than shared moments, when he wants to understand what exists beyond the surface, it's no longer about winning you over. It's because he's already given himself to you. If this touches something inside you, if you realize someone may already be doing this quietly, without words, but with consistent presence, then maybe it's time to give a sign. Leave a light. Share your thoughts. Let your heart speak. Because recognizing the kind of love that arrives silently teaches us to love more consciously. And you deserve that kind of love. It's subtle, but it changes everything. Suddenly, he started using words like us. When we go, imagine us in that place. It's no longer, I want to travel someday. Now it's, someday, we're going to visit that place. He still hasn't said, I love you. But something in him has already begun to include you in his future. And that may mean even more than any formal declaration. You hear it in the simplest conversations. He talks about his career. And suddenly he says, if everything goes well, I'll be able to work from anywhere, even your city. Or he sees a beautiful home and says quietly, can you imagine living in a place like that? But he says it while looking at you. He's projecting, he's dreaming. And in his vision, you're already there, as if it were obvious, as if you already belong. These little phrases aren't random. They're openings, small cracks through which a deeper feeling begins to shine through, a feeling that maybe still doesn't have a name, but has already started to take root. Because a man who begins to dream of a future with you is already deeply connected to you in the present. He may not fully understand it yet, but you do. You feel it in the way his voice softens, in the glance he gives you after saying something that unintentionally reveals too much, as if he just exposed a part of his heart without meaning to. Because for him, imagining the future no longer makes sense if you're not in it. And it's not only about the big things. Sometimes it's as simple as, let's go to that restaurant next month. Or, I'm going to take you somewhere special one of these days. Small moments, but they carry a powerful message. You're already part of what hasn't even happened yet. He thinks of you when he looks ahead. And that's rare. That's valuable. He's beginning to see you not just as someone he enjoys being with, but as a partner, someone he wants beside him when things go well, and perhaps more importantly, when they don't. He's sketching out his life, and without asking permission, he's already written your name in it. Because for him, dreaming alone doesn't make sense anymore. Maybe you hadn't noticed. Or maybe your heart trembled the first time he said us, even if he masked it as casual. But you felt it. Because when a man starts to include you in his future, even if he hasn't made promises, he's already giving you everything that matters. Inside him, there's a quiet battlefield. On one side, there's reason, filled with past experiences, protective instincts, and emotional caution. On the other side, there's feeling, raw, vibrant, growing stronger with each day you're near. That struggle is invisible to the eye, but you feel it. He smiles with you. He gives himself through gestures. But sometimes you see him withdraw, close off, disappear for a moment, as if something inside him is pulling him back from what his heart is already whispering he wants to live. That's the internal dance of many men who fall in love without meaning to. They begin with boundaries. They tell themselves not to get too close. They repeat the old lines. It's just a phase. Don't build expectations. But love doesn't ask permission. It finds its way through the cracks. And little by little, it becomes harder to pretend. that nothing is happening. You see it. One day, he reaches for you fully, openly. And the next, he steps back as if trying to regain control. But what he doesn't yet know is that the moment he imagined the future with you, even in passing, his heart had already decided. When he says he misses you, but then changes the subject. When he looks at you like he wants to say everything, but remains silent. It's not indecision. It's fear. Fear of surrendering and not being loved in return. Fear of losing control. Fear of needing you more than he thinks he should. Reason whispers it's dangerous. That he's been hurt before. That he can't afford to let emotion take the lead again. But emotion keeps leading him back to you again and again. Even when he tries to stay away, he returns. He shows up. He seeks you out. Because when love begins to win over logic, not even the highest walls can hold it back. That inner conflict consumes him in silence. And while you think he's grown distant, in truth, he's deep inside himself, wrestling with the chaos you've stirred within him, without trying, without guilt, just by being exactly who you are. And when he begins to give in, even slowly, even in fragments, it's because emotion is winning. Because in the end, truth always breaks through defenses. Even if it takes him time to admit it, the truth is already there. His heart has chosen you. In the battle, in the silence, in the fear, he's already yours. Maybe he'll never say, "I'm in love" out loud. Maybe he'll never write love letters or make sweeping declarations. But his love is present in the gaze that lingers, in the silence that listens, in the quiet touch, in the way he protects you without ever saying the word protect, in the way he slowly rearranges his world to make space for you in it. Masculine love, more often than not, is expressed through gestures, not words, through presence, not promises. It's in the way he remembers something you mentioned offhand, in how he clears his packed schedule just to see you, even if only for a few minutes. It's in how he tries to understand your emotions, even though he's still learning, how to navigate his own. And when you begin to recognize that kind of love, everything changes. You stop waiting for practice lines. You stop searching for scripted romance. You start seeing the real signs. You stop doubting what you feel and begin noticing what he's already saying. With every action, every choice, every quiet step toward you. So many women miss out on beautiful stories because they never learn to read this kind of love, because they think love only counts when it comes with a label, a date, a perfect declaration. But true love, the kind that transforms, often grows slowly, in silence, in care, in quiet, daily devotion. That's the love that holds you, the love that chooses you, even if it doesn't say so. And if this message spoke to something inside you, if it awakened the truth your heart already suspected, then give it a like. Not just to support the video, but to say, I'm ready to see beyond words. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss another message like this. And leave a comment below. Now I understand his silence, because that could be the first step to experiencing a more conscious, deeper, more real kind of love. Before you go, check the pinned comment. There's something there made especially for you. Something that could open your eyes, strengthen your heart, and change the way you connect from this moment on. Don't skip it. Go there. Your heart will know why.